Thank you, Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues. I want to move a motion for the urgent need to provide special presidential intervention for the persons living with disabilities in Nigeria. The co-sponsors are actually many. There are some that, inadvertently that has been removed, but so many of us are members of the sponsors and co-sponsors. May I go ahead?
Yeah, please, you may proceed.
The Senate notes that disability is a long-term physical, mental, intellectual, and sensory impairment in interaction with various barriers, and this may hinder full and effective participation in society on an equal basis with others. Senate further notes that disability may not be necessarily a birth defect. One may live a normal and healthy life today, and in the next minute, you are disabled. God finishes our creation the very day we depart this world. No one is immune to disability. Mr. President, Senate commends the efforts of the President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, for finding it worthy to sign the Discrimination Against Persons with Disability Prohibition Act 2018, and further establish the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities as a fulfillment of one of his campaign promises. This is a product of the 8th Senate, to which many of us here participated. Mr. President, the Senate concerned that according to the World Health Organization in 2018, about 29 million of the 195 million people who comprise the Nigerian national population were people with disability, and coupled with the recent reality on the activities of insurgency, banditry, indiscriminate mining activities, and pollutions from the exploration of hydrocarbon resources, particularly causing children to be born with deformities in the Niger Delta region. The recurrent accidents recorded on our roads and other related social ills has made Nigeria to witness a surge in the communities of people with disabilities, and they are gradually becoming a strong political constituency who in the nearest future can determine the future leadership of Nigeria. Senate worried that the increase of our men and women in the front line of duties in fighting for the unity and survival of our nation has increased the transition into the communities of people living with disability. Senate disturbed that the effect of the COVID-19 and above mentioned issues on people living with disabilities have further exposed the underlying inequalities and discriminatory practice faced by people living with disability in our country, thereby leading to increase in poverty. And Senate further disturbed that despite the various laudable interventions, such as N-Power, Presidential Youth Empowerment Scheme, conditional cash transfer, specific public works, etc., by the federal government in reducing poverty and cushioning the effects of COVID-19, the community of the people living with disabilities have not felt the impact because of unfriendly conditions attached to the process. Mr. President, the Senate accordingly resolved to, 1, urge Mr. President to provide a 5-year post-COVID-19 special intervention program in the areas of mass distribution of assistive devices to include wheelchairs, prostheses, orthotics, hearing aids, crutches, braille machines, special computers, skin protection, etc. These will ensure A, access to education, B, independent living for our people, and C, facilitate effective inclusion and participation in development activities. Mr. President, sir, the program will design and construction of accessibility facilities in all federal government institutions, city roads, pedestrians, walkways, and public utilities. These include airports, railway stations, motor parks, schools, universities, etc. Revitalization of all rehabilitation facilities and special schools in the 6 geopolitical zones across the country. A, these facilities established many years are presently a ghost of themselves. Some zones completely do not have any. And procurement and distribution of adequate learning equipments and materials. Mass empowerment and employment opportunities in the public and private sectors, skill acquisition in agro-allied services, business development, mental fabrication, etc., and CBN through NIRSAL to provide starter packs. Provision of community-based rehabilitation services across the country, and recruitment of clinical services provided in all polling units, who shall provide adequate rehabilitation, diagnosis, administer assistive devices, make defense services, make referral services, and manage disability complicities. 2, urge all ministries, departments, and agencies to provide at least 10% of their projects and programs for persons with disabilities through the National Commission for Persons with Disability. 3, urge the Central Bank of Nigeria through NIRSAL Micro Finance Bank to provide special loan facilities to persons with disabilities through the National Commission for Persons Living with Disabilities. 4, urge the security agencies to ensure that in an event where personnel in the course of discharging their official assignment become disabled, the security agency should retain and convert the affected person to less demanding tasks than retiring them, while the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities shall provide the affected personnel with the assistive devices. 5, urge the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities under the supervision of Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development to implement the Senate resolutions. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I so move the motion. Thank you very much.
Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ibikunle Amosun, I represent Ogun Central Senatorial. First, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, let me commend in a special way Senator Yusuf for moving this motion. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I think this is a straightforward motion, and it's a very important, strategic, and very, very needed motion in our society. Mr. President, reading through the body of the motion, I like certain things, the way it was put together. Let me start from I think it's the second paragraph, where distinguished Senator Yusuf said, God finishes our creation the very day we depart this world. No one is immune to disability. Yes, we wake up every morning, we pray that we will not be bedeviled with maybe injuries or disability, but no one can tell what will happen even later this afternoon. And that is why people will say, never call a man lucky until you've seen his end. It is the day that we breathe our last that we will know whether the Almighty has been totally kind to us, that we will not be bedeviled by any form of disability or another. Mr. President, beside this, if we have 15% or thereabout of our population that are the disability. I would have preferred, that is the only area where I want to say, but we know what is the intention of the mover of this motion. I would have preferred to say that special people with special needs as against people that are disabled. Yes, we know they have this disability, but if we have about 15% of our population that falls into this category of people that should be taken care of, Mr. President, I think whatever we can do to make sure to ameliorate all the difficulties that they have in their everyday living should be supported by all. Mr. President, if you look down, you will find out that particularly now that we are going through these security challenges, day in, day out, our men in the forefront, in the battlefield, of course, every day they are being affected. Every day, many of them are being disabled. They are falling into the category of people that we are talking about here. So, Mr. President, I think it's very, very important that all the prayers in this motion, we should look into it and we should support it. Mr. President, another area where I think we should take seriously, and I'm happy that this has been done in the very last paragraph of the main body of the motion, and that is all these safety nets of the federal government. Somehow, they are not getting to these people with special needs, those that otherwise we refer to as those that are disabled. So we should find some ways and means of making sure that they are taken care of, they are captured in all these social safety nets that the federal government is doing. Mr. President, without taking much of our time, I want to say that this motion is timely, this motion is necessary, this motion is very important and strategic to carry along and take care of about 15%, if not more now, of our population. So, Mr. President, I wholeheartedly, not only second, I'm supporting this motion, and I want to ask all and urge all our people to please support this motion. Thank you, Mr.
Senator Mohammed Ali Ndume.
Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, Senator Mohammed Ali Ndume representing Borno South. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, before I go on, I want the clerk to take note that I'm also one of the co-sponsors of this very important and historic bill. Mr. President, this ninth Senate historically will be proud that we took this motion today, and the prayers is very comprehensive. And distinguished Senator Amosun, my senior brother, has already captured it all. The people living with disabilities, if you interact with most of them too, are not people that are lazy, lousy, so to say. Most of them are people that are willing, and with a little support, they will be able to pick on their pieces and feel part of the society. Just yesterday, some of the young people with disability approached me on some of these very laudable programs that the government has put in place for people, for the poor people. But unfortunately, they don't have access because of their disability. In fact, why they came to me is to see if I can facilitate so that they can have access to NIRSAL, to N-Power and all that. And they have done all that is required of them. This motion now will go a long way to give them that hope, and also to make the institutions that are responsible to respond appropriately. As the mover of the motion said, this motion is for all of us, and as distinguished Senator Amosun said, anybody can be disabled at any time. If you have accident of anything, or even at home, this thing can happen. So it's very important that I'm glad that the motion is coming in our time, and I urge all our colleagues to support it. Thank you very much.
Distinguished Senator Chukwuka Godfrey.
And I represent the good people of Enugu North Central District of Enugu State. Mr. President, I'm a co-sponsor of this very, very important motion coming from most distinguished Senator Yusuf. I call him the brain box because of the quality of his contributions in this assembly, from 8th assembly to present. Mr. President, this is one of the most important motions that has come to the National Assembly. I'm happy that we are part of the 8th Senate that got this bill passed into law. I'm also that in the 9th Assembly, it has pleased one of us here to lead us in discussing the issue of importance like this. Mr. President, one of those indices to assess a country as a community of humans is the way they handle people who are vulnerable. If you see the way they handle them, you can determine that that country is actually a country. It's not how you handle the people who are well-to-do, how to manage themselves that matters. It is how you handle people who are just at the mercy of people. So that's one of the reasons why this thing is very important. Mr. President, I want to say that I don't call people, I call these people people that are disabled. I rather prefer to call them people with special needs. And these people are like the mover of the motion has said, it can be anybody. Today you can be hale and hearty. Tomorrow one thing or other can throw you, you join this group. What they need, people with special need, is not our sympathy. What they demand from us is empathy. Put yourself in their position. That's what they want from us. They don't want our pity. They want our understanding. This is what they just need. If you have empathy for them, if you show understanding, not pity, you have solved the problem of people with special needs. So, Mr. President, I am saying that it's very, very important that on these two issues I want to pick on the prayers here. The asking of 10%. 10% is just okay. I'm not going to say more than that. 10%. Let us make it a point of duty that 10% of our workforce in any employment we are taking, that we ensure that you give it to people with special needs. The second issue I raised here as a prayer I want to also emphasize is the issue of people who work in offices. You know, hale and hearty people. All of a sudden, one issue comes and the person becomes a person with special need. You say, retire him and take him home. We know that being in duty, going to work from every morning, doing one thing or the other, is very important. It's not paying them their salary. Just ask them, go back, we are paying your salary, go home. It's not. These people want to interact with the community. They want to, in the morning, like every other person, they go out and come back home. So we have to, it's not a question of asking them, just go, retire them, give them all the full payments, and take them home. And then they'll go and suffer depression. If we do these issues that are, we attend to these issues dispassionately across board, not just at the federal level, at the state, local government level. If we handle it, our government will be seen as a government that has a human face. I thank you so much for this opportunity.
Let's go to the prayer. Urge the President, CNC, to provide a 5-year post-COVID special intervention program in areas of mass distribution of assistive devices to include wheelchairs, prostheses and orthotics, hearing aids, crutches, braille machines, special computers, skin protectors, etc. This will ensure access to education, B, independent living for our people, and C, facilitate effective inclusion and participation in development activities. Design and construction of accessibility facilities in all federal government institutions city roads, pedestrian walkways, and public facilities. This includes airports, railway stations, motor parks, schools, universities, etc. Revitalization of all rehabilitation facilities and special schools in the 6 geopolitical zones across the country. A, these facilities, established many years, are presently a ghost of themselves. Some zones completely do not have. And B, procurement and distribution of adequate learning equipment and materials, mass empowerment and employment opportunities in the public and private sectors, skills acquisition in agro-allied services, business development, metal fabrication, etc., and CBN through NIRSAL to provide starter packs. A, provision of community-based rehabilitation services across the country, and recruitment of clinical service providers in all polling units who shall provide adequate rehabilitation diagnosis, administer assistive devices, make referral services, and manage disability complicities. Those in favor of prayer 1 say aye. Those against say nay. Sorry, Deputy Chief Whip.
Sorry, sir. If you look at the numbering, they said A, B, then A again. So I think we need to renumber A, B, C, D, so that we can properly have it as record. That's just.
So it's A, B, C, and then the C has an A. I think we should be consistent. He has been using alphabets rather than numbers. So it should be C has A. Those in favor of prayer 1 as amended, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2, urge all ministries, departments, and agencies to provide at least 10% of their projects and programs for persons with disabilities through the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3, urge the Central Bank of Nigeria through the NIRSAL Micro Finance Bank to provide special loan facilities to persons with disabilities through the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities. Those in favor of prayer 3 say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 4, urge the security agencies to ensure that in an event where personnel in the course of discharging their official assignment become disabled, the security agency should retain and convert the affected personnel to less demanding tasks than retiring them, while the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities shall provide the affected personnel with an assistive device. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. And prayer 5, urge the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities under the supervision of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development to implement this Senate resolution. Those in favor of prayer 5 say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Additional prayer, Deputy Chief Whip.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Aliu Sabi Abdullahi. I want to propose.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the additional prayer say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. Just to re-echo what Senator Chukwuka Utaze said in his submission, that if you want to look at how a society is really planning to develop itself or how empathetic it is, look at how it treats those that are vulnerable in the society. This motion will definitely bring to the fore the important necessity of ensuring that those who are challenged, those with special needs in our country are given the kind of attention that they rightly deserve. Thank you very much. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues,